Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we have the upgrades to the Eternal Might Precon. This is a Precon that's coming out very soon, and out of the two of them, this is the one that I think looks the best, and I am really excited for it. Honestly, I haven't got a zombie-based deck, and I haven't got a draw-based deck. I was thinking of building one, and this is going to be kind of combination of both of those and discard. It's a really looking like a really fun Precon. Personally, I am really excited for this one. So obviously this is the precon that's coming with Aetherdrift. We're going to go through the actual precon to start off with, talk a little bit about what it's doing and stuff like that. Then I'll talk about my upgrades. Before we get into it though, make sure you share the video around, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. You know, this could be the last video you see from me because the YouTube algorithm apparently doesn't like me at the moment. So make sure you subscribe so then you don't miss any of our, you know, amazing content that we've got going on here. And you know, that just get as much of the as much out of Magic as you can by being able to get all this news as soon as it's coming out, all that kind of stuff. So let's go through the actual precon first up. There's two precons with Aetherdrift. One is the Living Energy one, which I did the upgrade guide for yesterday, and then this is the Eternal Might one. This one's based around zombies, so it's zombie tribal, and then it's also based around discarding cards, whether that's through cycling or whether it's through like our commander here, Temet, is whenever you attack, draw a card, then discard a card. And now I will keep the face commander as the commander for it. However, personally, once I get this, I'm most likely going to switch over to the alt commander because I want to build it more around him. But like, both commanders are really fun, and I think that they're going to be really great. So Temet here is our face commander, and he has, and the one we're going to keep as our commander, he's got Vigilance, Menace. Whenever you attack, draw a card, then discard a card. And then whenever you draw a card, zombies you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. So stuff like cycling is going to help there because that's like, you know, discard a card, then draw a card, or discard that specific card, then draw a card. Anything that's going to give you a whole bunch of card draw is going to be great for it. Going through the actual precon, you know, our artifacts, I really like that they've included a whole bunch of artifact rocks in here, right? Like the mana rocks, like Dimir Signet, Orzhov Signet, Talisman of Dominance, and Talisman of Hierarchy. Now, if you have a look at those four, what do they have in common? They all have black in it. So they didn't include like the full cycle of them. Like they could have included like the white, blue, Orzhov, Orzhov Signet or the Orzhov Talisman, but instead they've actually just nailed down and gone for that pure kind of black within the mana rocks here, which is great because this deck is primarily kind of black focused because it's got a lot of zombie stuff in it. Most of it's kind of like just based around zombies. There's a lot of really great value zombies in here, whether they're reprints or new cards. Some of the new cards, you know, let you cycle all, give each creature card in your hand cycling. The alternate commander up here makes it so whenever you discard a creature, you get to pay 3, and then you get to put a tapped copy of that card onto the battlefield, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. So you can, when you cycle something, you get to create a token copy of it anyway. And yeah, overall, you know, the deck's just mostly got really great kind of value zombies. This card here is insane, the Renewed Solidarity, and this is going to fit into so many decks. I honestly think I need to do a video just on this deck, just on this card, because I think this may be the strongest new card that's coming out from both Aetherdrift and even like Aetherdrift Commander, and maybe even just Aetherdrift. It is crazy. At the end of your end step, for each token you control of the chosen type that entered this turn, you get to create a token that's a copy of it. So, you know, if you make a token copy of a zombie, then boom, you're going to create another token copy of it. It's just doubling all of your tokens. It's crazy. Only for one kind of, you know, one creature type though, but still, it's still really crazy. We've got a bunch of things in here to buff our zombies, whether they give our zombies flying, whether they give our zombies death touch, whether they give our zombies, you know, afflict as well, which is great. And then some card draw. There's also 39 lands in here, which you'll notice when I go in and do my my changes, I cut that down to 37 because I guess I understand why the 39 is in here, because it's got like a few cycling lands in there. But still, I was like, we don't really need them. I don't like having that many lands in here. I'd rather have 37. And then we've got our board wipes down here within our sorceries. So going through my actual upgrades here, if we group this by color tag, and I'll put the link to this down below. Our upgrades here are mostly kind of doubling down on what the deck was already doing well, and then we're going to cut things that I didn't think it was doing very well or kind of didn't go well enough into our theme here. So we've got currency converter. That way we've got extra value whenever we're discarding stuff. Tortured Existence is insane in this deck. You're going to pay black, you're going to discard a creature, and then get to return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Now, if you include this and then kind of combo it out with your Hashaton, you're going to discard a card. You get to pay 3 to create a token copy of it, and then you can discard a card again to get that card back to your hand if you want. It's just, yeah, it's Tortured Existence. It's insane in this deck, in my opinion. We've got like Buried Alive in here to be able to tutor things into our graveyard because we've got ways to reanimate it. And then we've got some nice new zombies in here with Feral Ghoul, Flood of Mars. Flood of Mars was actually an interesting one because I showed this deck to my friend Jack John Jackson before, and he questioned the Flood of Mars on it. But I really like it because, one, we can use it to allow us to get a guaranteed hit into someone. And we've got, some ways to make use of that. But the better part, in my opinion, is we can use it for essentially a pseudo removal. We can put a flood counter onto a different creature, any creature. It doesn't have to be our creatures. And then that's going to become a copy of Flood of Mars. Boom. Now their commander is just a Flood of Mars. It's essentially not going to be able to do whatever they wanted it for. We can remove their combo pieces with it. We can also use it to turn our other zombie tokens into Flood of Mars as well. And then from there, then they're going to be able to inflict a huge amount of stuff. I just thought it was just really amazing. Verena is actually really interesting as well because it's like everything within this precon is doing what Verena was already doing. Even down to, zombies, draw cards, discard cards. It's just insane. As well as the fact that it's an attack trigger. One thing that some people pointed out when I showed some cards that I was looking at upgrading for it were that they were on damage, like on combat damage. So you wouldn't get the procs for dealing the damage up here, which is true. And if we were, if we're keeping Temet as our commander, definitely, we want the draw cards more than the draw cards prior to the damage. So that kind of works into that. We've also got, some other ways to be able to reanimate stuff with Victimize, Teferi's Ageless, just to be able to get more card draw, Patriarch's Bidding, Mass Reanimation, Rooftop Storms down to 87 cents at the moment, which I need to go add that into my spreadsheet because it was, a lot higher than that. Now that Innistrad Remastered's out, boom. Bone Micer, 1 zombie, 2 get value from us discarding things. We want to discard things and then, get the value from there and value everywhere else. Going into what I've actually cut from the deck, if we switch this back over to sorting by type and then scroll down to the bottom, this is our cuts here. I've cut an islands and a plane. And I've also cut the 2 of the mana rocks. I think 2 mana rocks is fine. That's still plenty alongside, Arcane Signet. I also cut the Commander Sphere, which, because I just didn't think that we needed it. It's got card draw, which is great, but I added in other ways to get card draw instead. I've cut the Dreadhorde Invasion as well because the Amass is great, but we're not going to have huge zombies. I'd rather go wide with our zombies than build up like a big zombie and a big army from that. And that's kind of one thing is that I didn't think Amass was really great within this deck. And also someone pointed out with the Maskwood Nexus that because of the way Maskwood Nexus works, it makes everything into an army, and then all your amass stuff, now you can put the counters onto anything. I don't think that's enough to kind of justify including Maskwood Nexus in here. So that's another thing that you'll notice that I cut is some of the non-zombies. So Angel of Sanctions, Champion of Wits there, the Grave Titan I've cut as well. I just didn't want to have non-zombies within here, the Vizier of Many Faces, although you could have that come in as a copy of a token, as a copy of one of your zombies if you wanted, fine. Timeless Dragon, because these are all like Eternalize and Embalm, which is okay, except I have better ways to be able to bring things back from the graveyard than eternalizing and embalming them, just to make sure that they come back as a zombie to get the value from other stuff. I did cut that gate to the Afterlife and the God Pharaoh's Gift combo. God Pharaoh's Gift is good, but we have other ways to be able to reanimate stuff that I just think is probably better, and I'd rather do it that way than rely on this huge, we've got 3 mana and then we've got to pay another 2 mana later on to be able to then bring this out, and then that's 7 mana, and it's also exiling the cards from the graveyard, so we can only kind of bring them back once, which is not great. We've got some ways to be able to do that anyway throughout the actual deck, like some of I think we've got creature in here, like the Scarab God does that anyway. We've got the Varina technically exile stuff, not to create a copy though. We've got the what's his face, the one that the Hashaton there as well. I just honestly just didn't like the idea of exiling too much from our graveyard to be able to do it, and I just think that we're better off kind of just going the way we've got with some more reanimation stuff that's more reliable, in my opinion. But that's, just more my opinion than anything. And I just, would rather go about it that way. But I'd love to hear from you guys as to what you think. Personally, I'm a huge fan of these upgrades. I set the kind of limit here at $50 US. And a big portion of that is stuff like Tortured Existence that's currently sitting at 717. The Nesting Dovehawk is a huge upgrade as well to be able to populate all those tokens. So not only do we get to bring a token out, but then with Nesting Dovehawk, we get to keep populating it. And then, this 4/4 that we brought in that's a copy of our whatever is now 2 of them, and then 3 of them, and then 4 of them. And Dazzling Theater and Prop Room is going to go into every white deck that's creature based until the end of time for me. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think? Have a great day and goodbye.